coming from a small town to the big stage?
Well, I grew up in a little town called Lancaster, Kentucky, and it's a big little town, like you said, and it's kind of different. I went from feeding cows literally one day to playing big shows like with Brooks and Dunn and Hank Williams Jr. and things like that, and I would say that it's a lot of change, but change is always good too.
How did living in a small town affect your music?
Well, I grew up around my grandparents, and that's kind of a small town kind of thing. My parents were in my life too, but I grew up around my grandparents, and so I think the small town affected me because we listened to a lot of older music and a lot of throwback stuff. And so I grew up listening to old Hank Williams and some bluegrass records and things like that. And so I feel like listening to that stuff as a kid is what's influenced me to do what I do today. And that's what allowed me to be on American Idol. And I grew up in a small town farming community. And so we raised tobacco and hay and cows and stuff like that. And so that's a lot of hard work. And I feel like that background of hard working and being motivated and staying active and positive on things, because on a farm something's always going to go wrong. And so and it does when it wants to, that's for sure. And so growing up doing that kind of stuff and never having 2 days the same on the farm is very, very similar to the music business too. And I think that has allowed me to transcend what I knew from farming and that kind of background to what I do now in the music field.
Why did you choose American Idol?
Well, it really was kind of a whim. I'm sure a lot of you, is this a junior or senior class? You've got quite a few different.
Actually, I've got 9th through 12th grade in here, so.
Oh, cool. So you seniors out there, I was a senior in high school whenever I auditioned for American Idol, and I tell you, my mama encouraged me to go to college, as a lot of you should. I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing, but I just didn't feel like it was for me. And I told my mama that, and she wasn't very happy with me. She got really, really, really upset with me, and chewed me out pretty good. And I was very, very, persistent on that's what I wanted to do. And she went in her bedroom and looked on, I think it was Facebook or something like that, and saw that American Idol was holding open auditions for something on a Zoom call, kind of like this. And so she signed me up for it, kind of on the whim and I said, okay, we'll do it. And she said, if things go well there, son, then I guess it's meant to be, and pursue this the way you want to, but if not, you're going to school. And so you better believe I practiced and made sure my song was just tip-top perfect shape before I got on there. And whenever it come time for American Idol just kind of come from, I think, down to me, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it. It just kind of came at the right time in my life, really.
Aside from country, what other genres do you pull influences from?
Well, I feel like every genre of music has very important things in it, and every genre of music has something to offer. Whether you're listening to rap music or if you're listening to pop music or R&B or anything like that, I feel like every bit of it has something. My favorite other genre, I like a lot of old rock and roll, like the Eagles and things like that. And I'll even go back and listen to Frank Sinatra, some of the crooners and stuff. I like that kind of thing. But like I said, it don't matter what you listen to, as long as it's what you like, then there ain't no right or wrong way to listen to music.
What are the pros and cons of going into the music business?
Well, the pros of it are, you get to meet folks like you all. And that's always my favorite thing, is going out and meeting people and hearing everybody's stories and backgrounds, where they came from, what it's like living there. I would say the cons are, for me, I was on national television, so I got exposed to a whole lot of people at a very, very quick succession. And so, if I go out and eat somewhere, it never fails that somebody will come up to me and say, howdy. Now, that's not a con to me, but I don't have a lot of, I would call it personal time or, time by myself. It's always singing or traveling and doing something like that. And the music business is an interesting business. About 20% of it's music, about 50% of it's luck, and the rest of it is the business part of it. But I'll tell you, the 20% music is the best part for me.
What was it like behind the scenes on American Idol?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story that happened to me backstage. So Ryan Seacrest, the guy that does all the announcing stuff on American Idol, we did this little interview, and he said, now, what point did you know you were a country boy, Alex? And I said, well, I guess when I discovered my love of cornbread, it's never I figured out I was a country boy. And he said, now, what kind of cornbread? Sweet? And I said, no, the jiffy kind. And that's kind of a funny behind the scenes thing there for you. But we had a good time with that, and it's a lot of downtime, and as far as you got to do a lot of paperwork and sign a lot of things, and they just want to make sure everything was right where it needed to be.
What's it like trying to balance your success with also still, when you were in school, how would you balance between them?
Yes, okay, so yes, I was still in high school whenever I was doing that, so that was an interesting thing. So I did my work. I was always a straight A kid, and had good grades and stuff. I got lucky, I guess, in a sense, when the COVID stuff come along, because I could do stuff from home. Wasn't missing nothing whenever I wasn't at school. And so I know I have some younger friends that are in the music business, and a lot of them will go homeschool and stuff like that if they get into the music before, school's kind of over with. And I was just fortunate enough to kind of be towards the end. So in a lot of my classes, I did my work and got turned in and stuff, but a lot of them were fairly easy classes, I'm just going to be honest with you. It was a challenge. I remember that, especially on the idle sets and stuff like that, because I had to get stuff done, and they wanted it to get done. And, I was enrolled in California schools for 2 weeks, and I'll tell you, y'all are learning a lot more where you're at than where I was in California. So,
What even got you interested in music?
Well, my interest in music goes back a long, long way. I started singing whenever I was 3 years old. I started in church, and I started with karaoke and stuff. And I'd pinpoint my musical influences and interests to 3 different things. I grew up listening to a lot of country music. And I used to watch these old VHS tapes of these old country stars my granddad had. And speaking of granddad, he would be another influence, as well as Thomas the Train. The first song I ever learned was Folsom Prison Blues. And I asked my granddad if there was any country music songs about trains. So they all 3 kind of went together and headed up there at the same time. And that's what got me interested in doing the music. And I wanted to learn to play guitar, and so I did. And it's one of those kind of things that just, them all 3 kind of came to a head there for me at the same time.
What was it like playing with Bryan?
I tell you what, that was an interesting thing altogether. I did not know that was coming. That wasn't, my audition wasn't pre-rehearsed at all. I just went in there and did my thing, and that's how all the auditions are. There ain't none of them that are fake. And from home, I can see why people would think they were and are, but they're not. I went in there with Bryan, and he said, "You want to sing one, son?" And I said, "Sure." So I ain't going to pass that opportunity up. So he got up there, and I was just very fortunate. I knew the song he knew, and that was one of those out-of-body experiences. The whole audition was. I really don't remember a ton about what happened. I can remember, him saying, "Get up and sing," and this, that, and the other, but all that was unrehearsed. And I tell you, there wasn't no nicer guy than Luke Bryan was to me, and I'm eternally grateful for it too.
How did your grandpa influence your music?
So how did your grandpa influence your music?
Well, we would ride around and salt cows and check fences and things like that together, and I was a little bitty fella then. And so he would drive me around, and we'd listen to the radio. There's an old station called 1460 WRBK out of Rockeston County, Kentucky. And I would listen to that radio, and they play like old songs. And whenever we drive down the road, he would pop a CD in. This has been early 2000s, so excuse my age, but he popped them CDs in, and we'd listen to his favorite singers and stuff, because that's what he liked, and I started liking them too. And Granddaddy, not only in the music side of things, as a person, a human being, taught me as dedication and how to work hard and what working hard will bring you, because if I hadn't worked hard for this, I wouldn't be doing it today. And that's the truth with anything. If you work hard at something and you're dedicated to it, then it'll work out for you in the long run. I wanted to do this since I was a kid, and Granddaddy always supported me, and I think that's the most important thing in the artist or anybody's life is encouragement. And so I was very encouraged as a kid, and had a lot of people tell me that I was doing good and keep at it, and that really did mean a lot. And Granddaddy certainly was one of the main influences in that, as well as my mom.
What songs are you working on now?
I'm working on a brand new song called "When God Made the South," and it's kind of more of a rockin', I'd call it more of a rockin' kind of country song. I would equate it to like a Trace Adkins song is the best way I would describe it. But it's I'm really looking forward to it. We just filmed the video for it, a music video, a CMT music video, and I'm tickled to death with it. I think it's going to be an awesome song. You always hope your songs go to #1, and this is one of my #1 favorite songs we've put together so far.
How was it like performing on a stage in front of a bunch of people?
Whenever it comes to performing live, every show is different. I approach shows a lot of different ways. So if you're doing there's a few different kinds of shows you can do. There's big shows with like Brooks and Dunn and things like that. You got to do more upbeat kind of numbers. And if I'm headlining the show, like if it's just me and an opening act for me or something, you want to put a lot more, heartthrob songs and love songs and things like that in there too. And so, the way I look at a live show is I like to have a good time on them. And usually whenever I have a good time, then the audience has a good time too. So that's how I approach it. If I hear a song and think, man, I think folks are really going to like that, then I throw it in my set. And if I hear something and I think, oh my God, that's the worst thing I've ever heard, I ain't ever going to play that, then I don't. And generally an audience will tell you what they like and what they don't, because, applause will let you know if a song's good or if a song's bad. And whenever I hear a song that gets a lot of applause and folks seem to like hearing me sing it, then it stays, and then whenever one doesn't do very well, then it goes to the curb.
In your opinion, what's the coolest place you've performed?
Oh man, I've got to play a lot of cool places. Some really, really big shows, like some state fair shows. But the coolest place I've ever got to play is in Nashville, Tennessee. I got to go to the old, where the Grand Ole Opry used to be. It's called the Ryman Auditorium, and it's this old church, and but they transformed it into like a music venue back in the 20s or 30s, and it's where the Grand Ole Opry started out, and these old performers used to sing on it and play on it. It's got the best acoustics out of any place I think I've ever played in my life, and I was so lucky to get to go play there. And the coolest part about it is there's a big sign out. There's the bottom seats, and then there's the balcony seats, and there's a big sign that says "Welcome to the Ryman Auditorium" when you walk out, and it's right there above on the balcony. So you walk out there and you see that, and you're like, well, this is pretty cool. I wouldn't mind playing here every night. And that's the coolest place. It's got so much, I would call it hillbilly dust. It's got so much magic, the place does, and it brought out the best in me.
So I'm sure we got a few different aspiring musicians in here. Do you have any tips for people trying to break out?
As far as inspiring musicians and what to do, it depends on if you want to be a singer or guitar player, but it really don't. Be yourself. There's so many people out there that are trying to be somebody else, and there's already been a Brooks and Dunn, and there's already been an Alex Miller for that. So be whoever you are, and that's what makes you special, is who you are and what you do. And I know that I never thought a little old Lancaster, Kentucky boy would ever be doing what I'm doing now, and I'm just very, very thrilled about it. And dedication and knowing what you want in life and what you want out of life is the most important thing. You can't add more days to the rest of your life, so add a little more life to your days is always the saying I heard. And as far as musicians are concerned, practice does make perfect. I sucked whenever I started. I couldn't sing a lick and couldn't play a lick, but it takes that. It takes that growing stage, and it's just like growing up as a kid. It's the same kind of thing. You just got to grow your talents and work at it and be dedicated to it and know what you want and be yourself.
If you were to sing with another country star, who would it be? Who's your top one?
Oh, hands down, I'd sing with Dolly Parton any day of the week. Who wouldn't want to sing a duet with Dolly? That'd be the coolest thing I think I'd ever get to do.
What can we expect at the Ag Center in September?
Well, you can expect a fun, loving country time. That's how I'll describe it. We have a party when we have a show, and we like for folks to get down and dance a little bit, and we do some fast songs, so you can get out there and freestyle dance, and you can get out there and we do some slow ones too, so you can get out there and dance with your sweethearts, the way I describe it. So if you like having a good time, then that's what you can expect at the Ag Center.
Could you please sing us a song?
Sure. Yes, I'd love to sing you a song. I'm in pretty good shape today, so I'll do you a little number here that I'm sure everybody in there's got an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that. And this is a little song I did whenever I was on American Idol that my ex-girlfriend absolutely hated me for. But, you know, she shouldn't broke up with me, so anyways, no problem. You used to get over me. Well, time and time again, I tried. And just when I get you off my mind, off my mind, well, you come crawling on your knees, just a bawling, crying and begging, please, but I'm over here, so get over me. Well, your lying eyes, they finally made me see that you and I were never meant to be, or meant to be. Well, lately I've been getting smarter, you know, you're never gonna break my heart, 'cause I'm over you, so get over me. Gonna take a little bit now. Here's the truth. Well, I know you and I've been through a lot, oh, baby, we have. But you and I just gotta stop, got to stop. Oh, I'm tired of this misery. Lord, I wanna be single, and I wanna be free, 'cause I'm over